Welcome to Rock and Recovery. I'm Jay, your host. Today I have a special guest. Her name is Crystal Aguilar. She's from, it looks like Texas. I have no idea who she is or what she's doing, but I know she's in the recovery field. This should be a great interview. But before that, it's still Suicide Prevention Month. So 988 in the US and Canada, 111 in the UK. If you're feeling like you need somebody to talk to, dial the numbers. For everybody else out there that has friends, family that are going through some stuff, just reach out and talk to them. That's all they need is a voice. They just need somebody to unload and talk to. It's okay. We're all in this together. We all need to stick around another day. It's also Recovery Awareness Month, and that's where we do recover and we recover out loud for a purpose. We're all here on purpose for a purpose. And let's welcome Crystal up. Hi, Crystal.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good. Glad to be here.
So, like I was telling everybody, I have no idea what you do. I know we're just talking about it and I had to cut you off to go live, but I have no idea what you do. But I know you're in the recovery field, and that is fucking fantastic as far as I'm concerned. And so why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm a regional director over Centocor Corpus Christi. We're a substance abuse treatment provider, and over the Corpus Christi location and the Austin location. We have 12 locations across the state of Texas and in New Mexico. And I've been in the field for 9 years, and I came into the job of being in the substance abuse field accidentally. I was just looking for a job and originally started as Charlie's Place. People here in Corpus Christi and maybe outside of Corpus Christi are familiar with Charlie's Place. We treated and helped a lot of people. And so I was just really looking for a job, and I started there, was given the opportunity to be a LCDC intern, licensed chemical dependency counselor. I still have my license. And, a guy got fired, and then I was given the caseload after 3 days. And I started working with, an all-male caseload. And I really, in doing that, I didn't know what I was doing, to be honest with you. Whatever they talked about, they want to talk about their girlfriends, their dog. I was putting that on my notes. And somebody told me, they were like, Crystal, your notes are shit. Like, what are you doing? And I was like, all right. So I structured a little bit. I started giving them, started listening to them, because to be honest with you, that's really what they want. And I started, structuring myself a little bit and offering, the treatment. And they started thanking me. And so what I had behind me, like right now, I don't have it because obviously I don't have a caseload, but behind me, I started building a wall. It was my gratitude wall, because they would write me letters as they would leave treatment. And so some of the letters would read, hey, Crystal, thank you. I just want to be seen. I just want to be heard. And I didn't plan to stay in the field so long, but it was the people.
There's some good people in this field.
Oh, absolutely.
I myself went through tons and tons of community corrections. I did 20 years in prison. I'm actually used to live close. I've got family that lived in like Corpus Christi area. We lived in Houston, Angleton area, but I'm originally from Colorado. And one of my case manager in the halfway house was probably one of the best case managers I've ever had. And she was an ex-officer, and she just went into that instead of doing whatever else she could. And she actually cared. She helped me through that program more. I was actually almost successful because of her. I had my own addiction, and it's my fault, but she did everything she could. I mean, she had me hire people out of the halfway house and everything else. But how did it feel? Did you struggle with addiction yourself?
I didn't. I actually have a heart disease, so probably if I would have dabbled a little bit, it probably would have killed me. I wouldn't be here. But I have addiction in my family. I grew up seeing it. But to be honest with you, growing up and seeing it, I thought it was the norm. I thought it was the norm to, smoke crack. You know what I mean? Because when family members would do it, they would do it in front of me, and just tell me to turn around. So I thought it was okay. I knew what crack smell like, the smell, getting Brillo pad and stuffing it in there, like it was the norm. It was done in front of me. Or back when my family members were huffing spray. Remember when that was pretty popular?
I do.
Those were my babysitters, my family members. So it wasn't taboo. It was very accessible. It was okay. And culturally or however, we didn't go to the doctor, those types of
Right.
things. So like if something bothered us, if we have had an ailment, we were offered, Lortabs, or we were offered, here's a Xanax. You're stressed out from school,
Yeah.
whatever. Here's a Xanax. Those
Yep.
types of things. So and that's how addiction starts. You think about it, and we talk to the people that we have here in treatment. That's how addiction starts. A majority of the clients that we have, or if you talk to people, they were introduced by family members or close people at a very young age. At the age of the prime ages between 9 and 12.
So, what's the biggest contributing factor that you find in your field uh, that causes addiction? What the mental health that goes on along with that? How do you deal with that? And what's the biggest contributing factors?
A lot of it is trauma. A lot of it is the trauma that's undergone, and whether it's abuse, some type of abuse, whether it's physical, mental, a combination of it all. Some of it, we have a lot of veterans that we
Mm.
see through our that come through our doors. um, you know uh, Childhood, sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse,
So,
all
a
that.
lot of mental health issues.
Yeah, there's a lot of mental health that's impacting, even COVID. We've seen an uprise in after COVID.
The uptick of addiction and mental
Absolutely.
health went way up because everybody was isolated.
It skyrocketed significantly. But also the abuse of children. You know what I mean? There
Oh,
was just
wow.
like a lot of people didn't know how to be able to cope with the isolation. It was
They
just,
really had to be parents again, and because they're out of work too, so they're probably frustrated with that, bills, getting their kid to sit in front of the computer screen, which they want them to do anyway normally nowadays, and they just forgot how to parent, and everything was on camera. So yeah, there's probably a big cause of it, of abuse right there, just that frustration.
yeah. And the thing is that, with the whole trauma, and because no one was a kid and said, hey, when I grew up, I want to be an addict or alcoholic. No
Right.
one says that, right? And the thing is that I think there's still a huge, we've gotten better, right, as a society, but there's still a huge stigma around addicts and alcoholics, mental health. There's still that addiction, period, right? Addiction and
Right.
mental health. There's still that huge stigma. And so, although we want people to go get help, there's still that, well, what does that look like? Or, hey, I have someone who maybe needs help, but what will everybody think?
Right.
Because
Oh, the stigma of
yeah,
having something wrong with you.
yes, because people still think
Mm.
like, oh, an addict or alcoholic, it's the people that are panhandling on the street. But no, it's not. In our facility, there's doctors, there's lawyers, there's first responders, there's veterans, there's engineers, there's so many people. It's not the homeless person, it's not the panhandlers. It doesn't discriminate. And I think that's what's important that people need to hear. It doesn't discriminate. Everybody knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, and it could touch any one of us because we
Yeah.
don't know how certain aspects of life are going to either break us, or we're going to come across something, and we don't know how we're going to cope with that or not be able to cope with that. Some person is going to pass, hopefully not, but we don't know if we're going to be able to process that or not. We don't know if the brain is going to be able to process what we experience.
So, what's one of the biggest challenges you find after you bring people in? What's one of the biggest challenges that you face as in your position that you find? What's one of the biggest challenges of addiction that you find?
I think the biggest challenges is when a person's not ready, but the family brings them in and they're like, no, this person needs to come because they have to get help. They have to get help. We need to get them help, but the person's not ready. Or the family is a really big enabler,
Mm.
and the individual's 30, 40 years old, and they're calling the family, and they're in and out of here, and the family is a big enabler. It Everybody's bottom is different. Their rock bottom, everybody's bottom is different. But if an individual doesn't hit their bottom, they'll never know what it feels like to want
lose.
to go up, to want
Right.
to go up. And mind you, a person doesn't, when I say bottom, a person doesn't necessarily have to be, without
Everybody's rock bottom's different.
yeah, without a home, without a car, without a job, completely, on the street eating out of a trash can. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
But some boundaries from the family, like I'm not going to keep, giving you money. I'm not going to keep, just some boundaries. But you see families continuing to enable in some form or fashion or friends. And so they know all it takes is a quick call, and they'll have their next drink or their next use, and then that's it. So they're not
So,
ready.
along with that rock bottom, I find that you have to be willing to lose something. If the family's enabling, there's nothing to lose. There's no reason for them to quit.
Absolutely.
You know,
That's a very true statement. That is a very true statement.
how do you deal with that issue with the families? If they're families are great. I love my family, but if they enabled me, I'd still be using. You know, you've got to draw that line. How did you tell them? How did you break the news? You know what? You're also contributing to the problem. How was that? How did that go?
We obviously we make sure that there's a consent for the families on file, and we talk to them, in a manner that's like, hey, if you're not going to help this person, you have to make boundaries. And we encourage Al-Anon. Al-Anon is very
Yeah.
good if the family is willing to go. Obviously, if they're not willing to go, then they're not ready themselves. And there's times that they're not ready either. And this is going to be, it is what it is to say, but sometimes you see where the problem lies. You see why
That generational.
yeah, you see where the problem is and why it will continue. And you hope for the best, and you're going to offer all the treatment possible. But you see, that's why it's good for a person who's in recovery to get away from people, places, and things. Sometimes those people are the family members, and sometimes the problem is the family. Sometimes,
Right.
most of the times, it's the family, not just because of the enabling, but sometimes it's because the family are the ones that have the person dealing, or have the person using, or giving the person the drugs. So sometimes the person, place, or things, it's the household, it's the family, because they think, well, if I can give whoever, my brother, my cousin, whatever, they can do whatever. I'll have them here, giving them their drink, giving them their whatever. At least I have them here. It's better than nothing.
Right. At least they're around.
At least
Go
they're
ahead.
around. I can
Yeah.
keep eyes on them.
Right. Right. And that's the wrong attitude to have, because as my mom will tell you, my mom's one of my biggest fans, but as my mom would have told you, that she was dreading the day that they would have called and said, hey, we found him on the street. He's
Oh,
not
yeah.
around, or he did something in prison and he's not around anymore, and that was one of her biggest regrets. I mean, biggest worries. Yet, I knew that wasn't going to happen, but she didn't, because she wasn't an addict and she didn't know anything about the addict lifestyle. And yeah, I could have probably got shot. I probably could have probably got stabbed in prison, you know, but she was thankful. She was grateful anytime I was in prison or arrested.
Because she knows where you are. She knows,
Yeah,
addiction is a family disease. Just the way it takes, from the addict or alcoholic, it'll take from the family.
it will.
It's how do they say it, in the literature? It's a lying, cunning, baffling.
It's the only disease that says you need me as it's killing you.
Absolutely. It'll do the same to the family. It'll
Yeah,
do the same from the family. And it hurts the family just the way it hurts the addict or alcoholic.
right.
Exactly the same. Until
So,
the family educates theirself.
so how do you deal with the mental health issue when you come into your treatment center? Is it like a dual diagnosis center, or just
Absolutely.
it
Yes.
is?
So what we have here is it's a dual diagnosis center. So the thing is that what we have is the state of Texas doesn't require an individual to we don't mandate the person to. So here, we don't force anybody to be here. So a lot of people are like, oh, you don't have security. Like, that's crazy. You don't have security. Okay, well, we're not a jail, one.
It's a voluntary.
It's free, it's free will to be here. It's voluntary. We encourage people to come and receive treatment. If you decide after day 3, day 10 that you don't want to be here, okay, well, we want to encourage you to stay because, of course, make great choices. However, we're not going to force you to be here. So when a person comes in and we discover that previous mental health, current mental health, and you don't want to take your mental health medication, we want to encourage it, right? We'll do a review. We'll see, do you not want to take it because it doesn't make you feel good? Do you feel that it's the wrong dosage? Is it too much for you? We treat the client holistically here. So we have LPC here, which is a licensed professional counselor. She'll meet with the individual, see if the diagnosis is correct. What is the person experiencing? You get a safety plan here with some coping skills on there. What makes you feel better? Staff will be aware that these are the things that makes the client feel better. And then if the client is just, they're very hell-bent, they don't want to take any meds, that's fine. That's their right. We're not going to force them to take any meds. So a person could be wandering around here, schizophrenic, that's fine, but they're stable. Then we're not going to force. Now, if their mental health outweighs their substance abuse, now then we partner with Oceans, which is a behavioral health. We'll get them stable, then they can come back.
Do you ever do any work with juveniles or people under the age of 18, or does it have to all be consenting adults?
No. We do, but we have a different facility for that. That's in our Houston location. We do have an under 18 facility, and to be honest, when I first started back when, the trend was, side note, we were seeing just marijuana as the diagnosis. And now the trend over there is opiates.
Fentanyl.
So it's shifting. Yeah.
So do you have a lot of juveniles with mental health issues? Let's say there's mildly autistic or highly autistic, but he's functioning, and he's also got mental health issues. Does your partner program deal with those type of people?
Yeah. We'll take those. They'll get evaluated, follow up with them as well. We get that here. We get that here too. We get referrals for that, for individuals like that here too, to make sure they're okay. We want to make sure this is the best environment for them, to make sure that they'll be able to go to the classes. It's very structured here. We get a lot of individuals. So statistically speaking, the way the brain works, not to get into all technicalities, but the way the brain works is an adult's brain essentially stays stuck depending on how much they were using at the age
they started to use.
Yeah. So we have full grown adults here, but their mental capacity is like 12 years old, 13 years old,
right?
Things like that. So they go to classes all day here. It's very structured. So when we get an individual who's high functioning, autistic, things like that, they get evaluated just to make sure that it won't be too much for them. Okay. Just to make sure that, because they start their day at 6 a.m. and it doesn't end till 9:30 p.m. They have breaks in between, but they have a very structured day with life skills, coping skills, anger management, how to do a resume, nutrition, things like that, just skills that they will have lost, how to be on time to groups, things like that.
Feel your feelings. Yeah. How to deal with emotions and loss and setbacks. And that's a big thing.
They have groups like, what is it? Like the seeking safety for men and seeking safety for women, because sometimes it's not just the women that go through trauma, it's the men who go through trauma as well. And so how as a male, how to express that, to not hold that in, because sometimes if the men aren't able to express that, then it keeps them sick. Those feelings of, whatever trauma they went through at whatever age, if they hold all those feelings in, it'll keep them sick in their addiction. And it's like carrying a backpack of shit. and throughout the years of their addiction and whatever trauma they went through or life experiences, they just keep putting, a bag of rocks, or shit, just more in their backpack. So they're carrying it and
Right.
carrying it and carrying it. And so here, we tell them, it's time to unload that backpack, a brick at a time or a rock at a time. And hopefully by the time that they discharge successfully, their backpack's empty.
So do you take out of state referrals, or is it all in state? And
Oh,
also, what's the cost? Is there scholarships? Is it really pricey? Is there scholarships? Is there a sliding scale? What's the fee involved in this?
so basically all that you said. We take out of state referrals. We take anybody and everybody. Anybody who walks through our doors, our job is to figure out how to get them treatment. We have people here who have insurance. We have people here who say, I don't have the money to pay for it, but I need help. We have Medicaid. We have private pay. We have veterans. We have people from federal probation. We have if you can think of it, we have them here. We do get help from the state. So that covers the cost of individuals who don't have the money to pay for it. So what they do is they fill out an indigent form. And sometimes that indigent form doesn't necessarily mean the person is homeless. Maybe they have a minimum wage paying job. And so they have a
They
family.
just can't afford
Yeah, they just
everything.
can't
Yeah.
afford it. And so they fill out that form, and that if they fall under, the poverty line, and that's their verbiage, that's not me saying it. They fall under the poverty line. Then basically the state picks up the cost of detox and residential. We have a sober living here as well, which is to me, the most affordable sober living of, the community. The good thing about our sober living is part of sobriety is relapse, right? That's the
Right.
truth. Sometimes that's the realistic. Relapse is part of sobriety. So if one of my guys, it's all guy right now, sober living. If one of my guys happens to relapse and they need detox, then I'm just gonna pause their sober living, put them in detox, get them well. If they need a 15-day fast track in residential, get them what they need, and then hold their room and put them right back into sober living.
I'd really like to connect you to a lady I know that I did an interview with that just opened up two female sober living houses in the Houston area.
Oh, that'd be
Uh, yeah, and they're female only. So you're saying you have male only. This lady just both of them are going, and I'll connect with you on outside of here. But I think that would be a great opportunity for both of you and just the community in general. Yes, they're in Houston, but still, that's not far. Houston's pretty centrally located, and I mean, she's doing great, and she's independent. So she went through recovery. She's 12 stepper, and she's like, you know what? I need to do something else. This is calling me. And so, yeah, she started flipping houses. Then she's like, nope, not doing that anymore. And I'm open sober living. So, you know, more power to you. And the more people that do that, the more better,
No,
honestly.
absolutely. And I'll be honest with you, we get a lot of women here who want to get away from this area. Again, it's getting away from people, places, or things. And somebody who's truly invested in their recovery, they'll go. They'll.
Absolutely.
And if we have the funds, and sometimes we do, not all the time, but sometimes we do, we'll help with the bus ticket over there. We'll help with the bus ticket over there and get them, to help start over. Get them a new
Yes.
start and start over. And we have a lot of people. We have a location. We have an adult location in Houston. So that's completely not a problem. Yeah, I love that information.
Awesome. And so your program, is it a 90, 60, 180? What's the average? The typical good program should be about 90 days, statistically speaking. 90 days is a great program. Anything longer, people get burnt out. Anything shorter, you're not getting enough. 90
Yeah.
days is a perfect time. So what's yours look like? And is it live on site, or is it inpatient, outpatient?
Yeah. So I'll start with detox. So detox is 3 to 5 days. It could be 7, depending on what the individual's using, right? And so that's here. Residential is intensive residential. That is in 30-day increments, right? We do it in 30-day increments, in 30 to 35-day increments, just because sometimes with individuals, it's that same concept that you just said. If once it starts going longer than 30 days, they start hearing the material, they start seeing the providers, and they start getting a little antsy in the
Yes.
groups. And so we'll do it in those increments, but it can go longer though. But we'll do it in increments of 30 to 35 days, right? We also have supportive level. That is another set of 35 days. That's where they're able to be here, live here, and then go out and work. And they keep the money that they make. And that helps them transition back out into the community, but still live here. So let's say they're walking to go catch the bus and they get triggered, at the corner store from all the signs and posters, or, of
Walking down the street where they used to live, and all of a
yeah.
sudden,
Or
yeah,
they see somebody and somebody offers them drugs at the bus stop, and they decline, but they still get triggered. They're able to come back here and process that with their counselor. So it's basically 1 foot in and 1 foot out, and they learn they're working on different set of skills with their counselor as well. So that's supportive level. They also have we also have outpatient. We have outpatient that is in person, and we have outpatient that is virtual as well. So during COVID, we started doing the virtual because everything shut down. We didn't stop treatment, but we started seeing that a lot of people virtually, our success rate of people attending was higher virtually.
higher,
So we offered
yes,
virtual across the board. And also the anonymity that people like to have, whereas they could go and catch a meeting at work by taking a lunch break, like, hey,
yes,
boss, I'm gonna go on lunch in my car, and then get on the line with their clinician.
right.
Like, I liked being able to do that and not having to say like, oh, I'm gonna go to a meeting, that type of stuff. So we have that. We have sober living, and then the stay depends on who's funding them. So we have federal probation will have them here for 180 days. The homeless veteran contract that we have, they can keep them here for 6 months, which is pretty good. The others, it just varies. There's some individuals who come in, they have insurance, they have a life. They're like, you know what? I just want to be here for 15 days. I have a whole life to get back to. What can you do for me? But I need to come in to treatment for a quick, pick me up. I know what I need to do. And it's like, hey, we're going to meet you where you're at. We're not going to force anything on you. If this is what you say that you need, we're going to create
A refresher course. I just need a refresher course.
We're going to create some goals with you and figure out what works best for you.
So now, do you deal with all substances or all forms of addiction, or just substance use?
Yes. So the answer is yes. We do not detox off of cocaine or crack, because that means you just need some sleep.
Yeah. Same with methamphetamine, really, unless but the methamphetamine these days is not really the same as earlier years.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we do now detox off of methamphetamines. We do detox now off of kratom.
Kratom's a bad one.
Yeah.
And kratom's bad.
Increase in that like crazy. A lot of people are coming in to detox off kratom because it has that opiate effect, as people are using it in excess, and it's crazy.
Yes.
So many, and everybody's going to have their opinions on, kratom, and, the smoke shops are all over the place with big old, signs.
It was just like bath salts. They did the same thing with bath salts.
Yeah.
Kratom, they need to take off the shelves and make it illegal in all 50 states, just like they did with bath salts. Get the shit off, just like they're doing with spice. It doesn't matter. Get that shit off the fucking counters. Make it unavailable for youth, especially, because I could go on, and I won't.
No, I agree 100% with you, because now more and more people in the generation of drug use and
younger and younger, because it's
younger and younger. Absolutely. And you know what? The drug dealers are not, it's not like they're getting smarter. But essentially, I don't mean it in the sense like they're getting smarter, like they're over there in the labs and they're like the H chromosome, they're not doing scientific stuff like that. They're seeing that they can target the younger generations by offering it this way. And, if they do a bad batch and they kill a whole bunch of people.
Oh, well, they think it's good. They get a reputation.
They're like,
Yeah, they get a reputation for having some good shit now.
And you know
That's
what's
the
sad? I had a conversation with someone because they were asking about, well, how many overdoses? And I said, I'm going to tell you one thing: overdoses are they're under tracked. They're not they're not represented. They're not represented
the proper
well.
way.
Well, because to be honest with you, who really cares? And I don't mean me, but like out there, who cares
Right.
about that? So many people
A
overdose.
drug user, a junkie overdosed.
Who
Who
cares?
cares?
Who wants to
You
turn
know
on
what?
the news or open their newspaper and see that in an abandoned building or this old house that was supposed to be all dilapidated? Who cares that,
Right.
8 people
Their family
overdosed on
did.
a bad batch? No one
Their
cares.
family did.
Exactly.
Their
Exactly.
family,
Because these
their
people
friends,
are
even if they
brothers
were
or
homeless, even if they're homeless people have friends. They have family. You know what? People cared.
they do. We care.
And
In this
and
business, we care.
absolutely. And the big thing is it's a systematic poisoning because of the fentanyl and the fentanyl crisis in America, around the country, around the world, the globe. And because you don't know what you're getting, people are pressing it into pills that are looking like the pharmaceuticals you get from the doctor, and all of a sudden they're taking it like prescribed, and all of a sudden they're dead.
Yeah.
That's not an overdose, that's a poisoning. That's murder. you
Yes.
know and that's all there is to it. I don't care who you are, what you're doing, but if you did that, that's committing murder.
Hmm.
Because if I'm going to, let's say, you're my plug, and I'm going to you expecting a product and getting something else, trying it, and all of a sudden dying, you just killed me.
Yep.
you know
But now
and
it got the
ugh,
attention because it's hitting children.
yes,
But we've been saying, like, hey, pay attention because it's this and the opiates and it's this, but it was at the adult level. But now the attention is at, whoever it matters, because children are now dying because fentanyl looks like candy and these
yes,
drugs look like candy. So now children are dying. And not to say no one should be dying, right?
no,
But
no,
if we would have been reactive instead of proactive,
proactive,
be in a much
or
better.
proactive instead of reactive.
Yeah, if we would
Yeah.
be proactive instead of reactive, had that backwards. But if we would have did that instead of doing what we are doing, we'd probably be in a much better place. But they're not going anywhere.
What's really bad? Tell me what's wrong with a 17-year-old, somebody in high school. Yeah, weed's a bad drug. Okay, weed's still a drug. Don't do it. I'm not promoting it. Don't do it.
Mhm.
If that's all you're doing, fine. Congratulations. But don't do it. Bad. Drugs are bad.
Mhm.
But imagine a high schooler just out partying with his friends, just normal, typical Saturday night, get some weed from their buddy that they're always getting it from, and he got it from a new place, and all of a sudden it's got fentanyl in it. He's smoking it like regular, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, he's dead.
Absolutely. We get
It
adults.
happens. It
We get
happens.
adults coming into our facility, and they come in and they're like, we need detox or we need residential, right? They don't know what they need. And so we're
Right.
like, okay, go provide us a UA. That's what they got to do as soon as they come in. Go provide us a sample so we know what we're working with. They came in for just weed, and there's fentanyl in their UA because the weed that they've been smoking has been laced with fentanyl.
Yeah.
Or we come in or individuals come in and they're like, okay, what do you need help with? I've been using methamphetamines. Okay, provide the UA sample.
Hot for fentanyl.
For fentanyl. Same
Yeah.
thing. And so we have adults out there that don't know that whatever they've been using is laced with fentanyl. Much less,
Yeah.
absolutely, you're right. There's kids,
Yeah.
that are
And
now.
what's bad? I was a meth addict, and when I would do my shot, I was an IV user. So when I would do a shot and want to go to sleep, and all of a sudden, I've never had a withdrawal symptom from meth other than sleeping. We all know that's what withdrawal is going to get you on meth, is sleeping. Yet, when I go 2 days and I start getting the cold sweats and the hot sweats and the flashes, like withdrawal from opiates, there's something wrong.
Oh, absolutely.
And I am a big, I do not support any drug use, but if it's making, if all you're doing is weed, congratulations, grow your own. At least then you know what you're getting, you know. And okay, so back to you being in the position you are, and I've still got some more questions for you. Like, one of the big ones is, how does it feel working? How I know you how you got into the position. It just basically fell in your lap, and somebody gave you a chance. How rewarding is that working with people and doing what you're doing?
It's the honest answer. It's a thankless and thankful job, to be honest
Yes.
with you. So the thankful part, when a person comes in and they ask for and they say, I just need help, and they come in and they're so broken and there's the light in their eyes, they have no hope, and you see it, when a person comes in and you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The light's gone and they're asking for a chance, regardless of how many times they've been here, right? Because I don't care. I always
Right.
say, welcome back. And sometimes they don't understand the welcome back, but I'd rather see them walk through these doors than hear that they were found behind a store or in an abandoned building and not be alive, right? That's
Right.
the back part. I'd rather see them here. Um, and they know me by name, right? They know me by name. Hi,
Right.
Miss Crystal. But they're so broken and they're so ashamed because they're back, or sometimes they're full of shame because nobody wants them. But then they go through detox, right? They get all the stuff out, and then they go to on the residential side, and the light starts slowly coming back because they start feeling like themselves again slowly. It doesn't matter how many times again they've been here. Does not matter. Hi, Miss Crystal, and you start seeing a glow and the light comes back, and that's the thankful part. That is and I'm going to make it this time. And you know what? Maybe that time, regardless of how many times, that's the time. That is the time. And then they leave again. And I always tell them, I hope to never see you again, but if I do, we're right here. I hope to never see you again. This time you're going to make it, but if you need us, we're right here for you. The thankless part is sometimes we get called everything under the sun. Me and
Right.
we get, things thrown at us. We get that they're gonna shoot this place up because they're upset. And I always tell the staff, it's not personal. They don't know us.
Yeah.
They don't know us. They don't know our lives.
They're just going through it. You
They're
know.
unhappy, and sometimes they're not here for the right reason. We get people who come, and this is a very vulnerable population, right? We get people who come in here and they actually deal. They try to deal here to take
Wow.
advantage of the other
The
individual.
addicts that are
Yeah,
there.
so we have to ask them to leave. And so that's the thankless part of it. We have to deal with that. But for the most part, people want to be here. And so that's the thankful part, and that we're actually changing lives. Last year through that last fiscal year through these doors, we served 2,895 people through these doors
Wow.
just last fiscal year. And that's amazing.
What's
Like,
your average recidivism rate? Is it basically statistical? It follows along the same lines, or is it, or are you guys doing anything special? That's what I want to know.
uh, average recidivism rate is, I would say 40%. I would say
Yeah, that's
40%.
about normal. I
Yeah.
think that's a little bit under normal, which is typical, from, and it's there for a reason. People that are coming to rehab, they're one or two ways: either there for a reason, they want to be there, or they're forced to go. You
Yeah.
know,
It takes
what
a
do you
lot.
think? What do you think about the people that say forced rehab is a ticket? That you can force somebody into rehab, force somebody into being clean.
No, I completely disagree with that. Yeah, and I've seen it. I've seen it. We've seen husbands, wives be forced to be here, and we haven't seen it work yet. We've seen families try to bring individuals here, and
Here, we can't deal with this person. It's your turn.
yeah, like we've seen
Mhm.
families or significant others drop off. Like as soon as the person hits the lobby and grabs the clipboard, the families don't even come in. They come to the door
Jesus.
and burn off. You know what I mean? Like they're done. And I want to say a part of me gets it because they're probably tired, but I don't. You know what I mean? Because that's that's still your loved one. And I, again, like I said, addiction is a family disease, so it's probably taken everything and a toll and all that, but they burn off. I mean, they can't get out of here any faster. You know, they
Right.
are gone. um and sometimes on the other part, it's very sad. You know, sometimes when the families wait and we walk the person back and they say their goodbyes and they hug, that's also sad too. You know, the families that truly are invested, no, those are the people where their success works, because their families are invested, are in their recovery, not not the enabling ones, but they're invested. You know,
So
where
back to the circle, you not circle program. I'm sorry, the dual diagnosis treatment. What does an average day look like for somebody that's dual diagnosed in your facility?
so it's pretty much the same day. It's pretty structured. They just get uh additional counseling for the mental health component. And
All
then,
right, and do you support Matt or do you support
yeah,
harm reduction, basically?
we actually offer Matt here as well. Yeah,
Really?
we have Matt here as well, because we want to give clients all the options to be able to help them be successful. So, in a client's recovery, there's different options, right? If a client, for the opiate, and the reason that we started Matt is because we had a lot of individuals who are, so for the last 4 years here, alcohol has been number one. For the drug of choice, alcohol has been number one, opiates have been number two, and stimulants, methamphetamine, has been number three. So we were seeing a lot of opiates and a lot of the same individuals come through our doors, especially detox, for treatment. So when we started our MAT program, we started offering it to some individuals that were coming here as a revolving door. So when we offered some of those individuals the MAT program, um, there are some individuals who are now leading successful lives and never came back to our
Yeah.
detox. So I know that people have their opinions about Matt, and there's a lot of sober homes too that think like, no, we're not going to let you in because you went from one drug essentially to the next drug. And I know, again, people have their opinions, but they got their lives back. They're leading a job, a full-time job. They have their families back, and they're good. They're in full recovery mode. Um, but for a person to be in recovery, it's kind of to each their own, you know, but they do have to uh, do a program. Recovery is like for a heart patient, right? Because I'm a heart
Right.
patient. I got to follow
Right.
up with my doctor. I got to attend all my appointments. If he says I got to go on a diet, I got to follow that, like a, you know, whatever diet says. If he says I got to follow a fish diet, I got to follow the fish diet. If he says I got to exercise 3 times a week, I got to do that. Same thing for a person who's in recovery. You got to do a sponsor, temporary sponsor. You got to go to meetings. You got to do, if you got to do outpatient, if you got to go chair a meeting, you know, that's what he wants you to do. You got to give back what was given to you. You know, you got to do all, you got to work the steps. You got to do everything to be full in your recovery. If you're going to half-ass it, you get half-ass results. You're going to half-ass your recovery,
So
you're going to get half-ass results.
so if you're having somebody from out of state, do you fly them to your facility, or do you provide transportation to your facility, or just once you get there?
Sometimes we do. Sometimes we coordinate, like we coordinate with different facilities or case managers. So we have had people fly in and we'll coordinate, like, what does it look like? It just varies. Every situation is different. We have
All
had
right.
people, like we had somebody from New York who was a chef out there who actually came into, he specifically chose Corpus Christi to um, do his recovery here. He had a bad experience at a different recovery place. It was a for-profit, nice. They had equine therapy. Don't remember what it was called. Probably wouldn't say it on here anyway. Anybody. It was better than us, basically. It was better than us. But he had equine therapy, all kinds of stuff. He had a bad experience. And he asked to come here. He came here. He graduated successfully, and he works here at one of the restaurants here in Corpus Christi. He's a like top chef somewhere.
Nice.
Yeah, he decided to.
So, on the mental health issues, what kind of mental health issues do you deal with there?
All kinds. So,
So anything that has a three-letter acronym or a four-letter acronym behind
so
your name.
borderline personality disorder, schizophrenia, uh, schizotype. Let's see, anything like you name.
PTSD, CPTSD,
Yeah.
all the acronyms, all the initials that are
Yes.
behind your that are everything but PhD.
Yeah. Basically, like anything that a person has, we will take them here. We will take them here. We don't discriminate against any type of mental health.
What
Uh,
about a mix of like all of them? What if you got somebody that's BPD, bipolar, manic depressive, PTSD, CPTSD? Can you deal with something like that?
Does not matter. I'm going to tell you that one time we had a woman and she was unmedicated and we had a code. So we have a code calling system in case anything happens here. We have a team that responds, and she was not wanting to go to group. She wasn't throwing a fit or anything like that, but she was in one of the group rooms and she was just refusing to go to group. So we had a code, and so we attended to the code over there, and she had what was a she had a it's not even coming to me, but one of those she had the personality disorder where she had
Uh,
five.
multiple personality,
Sorry, yeah,
disassociative identity, or
yeah.
whatever it is.
She had
Yeah.
five. So right in front of us, she was like herself. Then she switched to a little girl.
Oh
Then she
wow,
switched to an elderly woman. She
wow.
switched to five different
So
people.
you basically had a Sybil there.
Yes, yes. So
Okay, so I have somebody in my chats right now that's BPD, BPD1, CPTSD, ADHD, and probably a little depression thrown in there. And she's also an addict, and she wants to know, what would you offer her? What can you would you be able to help her?
absolutely. So I'm not the mental health professional, but we have several individuals here with several mental health um, diagnoses.
Right.
So absolutely. So if she wants to come in for treatment or she wants to get more information, I will put my well. You have my email. Feel
Yes,
free
I
to
do.
send her my email, and then we can connect. And we will, if she wants to come in for treatment, we will absolutely help her because we have several individuals here. And if she needs medication, we'll link her up. Whatever she needs,
She's one of those people that will do really good for a long time and then just go off her meds and think everything's going to be okay.
that's fine. That's fine. Our we'll take care of we take care of the individual, like I said, holistically. So we'll try to take care of all her needs here. Can we force an individual to take her meds
No,
or
no,
take their meds? No, that's not our goal. But
right,
we do what we need to do so the individual is healthy and receives the recovery.
right. That's the most important thing is because you know what, we all can live a life, a successful life, depending on what your idea of success is. You know,
Absolutely,
everybody's is different. I think you're very successful. I think I'm becoming successful. So
absolutely.
I'm alive and I'm kicking. So that's success to me. On a daily. So as long as we're helping the next right person, what else do you have to offer or say to anybody out there that might be listening?
I do want to say, that recovery is possible. And I'm glad you mentioned success because sometimes that is being better, being 1% better from what you were yesterday.
Yeah,
That's
half a percent,
yeah,
half a percent.
even half a percent. My thing that I've always said and that I used to tell my caseload is just be a little better than you were yesterday. And someone would be
Yeah,
like, well, what does that mean? I don't know. What can you do? Like 1%, half a percent? Like, I don't know. I don't know, like can you make your bed? Yeah, I can make my bed. Okay, cool, do that.
that's
Just be a
better.
little better. Just be a little better than you were yesterday.
Yep.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
Right? That's the goal. And the thing is that everybody and even and I used to tell my caseload too, addicts and alcoholics label themselves as addicts and alcoholics. No, you're people. What are your talents? What were you before that? Were you a singer, a painter, a writer? What did you like to do? You're that.
Yeah.
Be that person.
Be yourself.
Be yourself.
Get out of addiction and become yourself.
Be that. What's your name? You know, Cynthia, Tom, be Tom.
Be
yes,
Tom.
you're an addict or an alcoholic, but be.
But that doesn't have to define you.
Don't define.
That doesn't have to define you.
Don't let society label you.
Right.
Be that. Be greater than you were yesterday.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate you coming on here, Crystal. It's been a great interview, a great conversation. If you want to tell everybody again what you do and where you're at, I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm Crystal Aguilar. I'm the regional director over Synacor Corpus Christi and Austin, and there's help out there. And if anybody needs me, Jay knows how to get a hold of me.
That's what we do. We recover, and we recover out loud, and we recover together, because that's what recovery is. It's connection. The opposite of addiction is connection. That's why we need recovery. That's why we need connection.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate you coming on here, Crystal. It's been an honor. It's been a pleasure. And I loved talking to you. And let's go recovery. I appreciate it. We're out of here, though. Folks, that's your show today. 988 US and Canada, 111 in the UK. If you need help, get help. She can help you. I can help you. We're here to help. Love you guys. And we're out.
Bye.